Welcome back to Elevated Freedoms Podcast. Today we're going to be talking about consistency and discipline. If this is not your first time here, thank you for coming back. If this is your first time here, Elevated Freedom is a community of like minded people setting goals to achieve a better life. Let's get into it. So, Brandon, today marks a good day, a new day. And what's that look for like today?
Man, it's a huge day in the future of our lives and in the future of the content we're going to be sharing with our followers. We're starting marathon prep. It's our first marathons, and we are so excited to share the journey with you guys. But today was day one. Both hit a 4 mile run. It felt amazing. And now, 4 months from now, we're going to crush a marathon. How do you feel today?
I felt really good. We've talked previously about like from prep for the Army 10 miler to now. It's just been like I can't wait to get back into prep, and it's here. We're here. We're back into prep, and I couldn't be happier.
Yeah, man, we talk about this a lot, you and I. And that is we've been lifting and doing more of a hybrid training program the last few months. But being in a running prep, there's something about that high you get at the end of every run that just can't be matched. And I haven't matched it with lifting. Even on my best days, the best lift I have, it doesn't match the best run I have. It just doesn't. It's a different kind of feeling. And we get to do that for 4 months straight. And it's going to be painful and it's going to be hard, but we're going to be consistently good every day and show up for ourselves and show up and toe the line ready.
That's a really good segue to get into consistency. So, consistency is doing something every single day, no matter what, to achieve a goal. What is your plan moving forward as to pretending to consistency for this marathon prep?
So yeah, with this marathon prep, man, it's another chance to fine tune my consistency and to develop that discipline. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to set a schedule and I'm going to stick to the schedule every day because you have to know what to expect every single day when you have certain tasks that take time that you know you need to accomplish, like running X amount of miles a day or eating this type of food or getting enough carbs in. So, sticking to a schedule and sticking to a diet is going to be absolutely essential in my process. What about you?
Same. Yeah, the one thing that fell short in between the last two preps and even part of the first prep was nutrition for me. So consistently hitting that nutrition is going to be huge for my marathon prep.
Yeah, man. And I know we saw on your story today. So, you've been making a ton of food from scratch. Is that going to be something you continue doing through marathon prep?
Yeah, I really want to get away from a lot of processed foods, and I think making food yourself, it has better things for all. You know what's in your food. You like make it yourself, so your hands have been in it, depending on what you're making, and you just have the whole process down, and that just brings me joy. And also eating it. I feel so good eating something that I've made. It just amps me up even more to keep that nutrition going. So yeah, I think that definitely with this prep coming, it's or the prep that's here, eating my own food will just if I'm eating the healthy stuff that I'm making, it's just going to help my
Well,
consistency.
exactly. And I think a part of that too is knowing what's going in your body. Because when you're fueling yourself to run 5 days a week and put 20 to 40 miles a week on your legs, you need to know that you're getting enough nutrients to actually fuel that process. So then it's not only you're consistently showing up for yourself physically, but now you're actually giving your body the necessary nutrients it needs so it can perform at a high level every day. Because otherwise, you're going to toe the line for a marathon, and you're gonna know that you missed some stuff. You're gonna feel that those days that you ate like crap. You're gonna feel the days that you couldn't hit the runs because you didn't do what you should do. So I think that that's huge, and I'm joining you on this journey. I'm excited about it. So I'm excited to start eating clean, training every day, and we'll see where it goes.
It's only going to go up from here. So consistency, if you do something consistently every single day, it's going to end up somewhere. You're not just going to keep doing something and you're going to be Groundhog Day. It's going to end up somewhere. It doesn't matter if your goal is to run a marathon or to be better at reading or be better at writing. If you practice that every single day, it's going to end up where you want it to be.
And that's huge, man, and, like, we talked about this before we started the episode. If you consistently do anything for 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, 1 year, whatever it is, you're going to be better at it. It's actually I think it's probably impossible not to be. And if anyone has an example of somebody consistently doing something for, like, 30 years straight and they didn't get any better at it, I would love to see it. Because
Yeah, I'd love to sit down and talk to you and figure out maybe like what the pitfalls were or what that task is that maybe there is a cap on it, but as of my belief right now there isn't a cap on consistency. There, you just keep rolling.
and the thing with consistency is it's more than consistency. So you start by consistently showing up for yourself, and we always talk about fitness as being the avenue to success. So you consistently show up for yourself fitness wise. So you run 5 days a week or you walk 5 days a week. And what that does for you is more than just build consistency. It turns into discipline, and then it turns into momentum, and then you build confidence. And then that stuff trickles into your everyday life, your work, your family, and you go into every situation more prepared, knowing that you know how to take care of business, knowing that you know how to take care of the things that need done so you can accomplish the goals you set for yourself. And that's the big thing with consistency is you got to see the bigger picture. It might not seem fun to wake up at 4 a.m. or 5 a.m. every day and run, but the fact is, that's gonna trickle into your everyday life, in your job, and you're gonna get better and you're gonna improve and you're gonna see that everything you do is gonna be of higher quality because you actually show up for yourself every day consistently.
Yeah, that brings a really good point into my head too, where for my last prep I felt like towards the end of it or like in the middle down towards the taper it was like running was gonna be a consistent day thing for me. Yeah, that was it was like second nature. So that's the constant now. So my constant is running. Now I can move off of that and figure out what isn't constant in my life that I can streamline. So just like Brandon was talking about, you do your you do that thing for a little bit, and then it takes the discipline to get into it. And but then once you're in that rut or that groove rather is probably a better term, you can then focus on other things. Like, are you consistently drinking a bunch of water a day? Are you consistently reading? Are you consistently focusing on your self care, mental health, whatever that is? Because all of these things play. If you're not there for yourself, if you're not consistently showing up for yourself, it's going to affect other areas in your life. And I don't want to see that for you. And I know Brandon doesn't either. We want the best for everybody to consistently show up for yourself so that way you can move on to your next goal.
And it's something that I think needs to be focused on more. And there was a quote from John Maxwell. It says, "Small disciplines repeated with consistency every day lead to great achievements gained slowly over time." And the point is that somebody might have a dream of being a millionaire, a billionaire, one of these things. And they might think, well, that's ridiculous. That's unattainable. That's out of my reach. You know, that's not who I am. That's not what I'm capable of. But the fact is, like we talked about earlier, nobody shows up for themselves every day and does stuff to improve themselves without getting somewhere. You know what I mean? So that quote for me is just such an important part of understanding what consistency does because you show up every single day. And even if you read 10 pages a day or you walk every day, like you're either going to be healthier, you're going to learn more. Nothing you do consistently, other, you know, that's going to improve you is going to hurt. Like it's actually good for you. And over time, it's going to improve all these other aspects of your life. And that's the whole point.
The big thing that I like about that quote is just staying in the groove, like I talked about previously. And once you're in it, it's just such a satisfaction that you're there, and I just can't be happier about it.
Yeah, and we this is the consistency and discipline episode. So the discipline aspect of that is when you first get into a fitness journey, you might reach out to social media. You might reach out to somebody like Elevated Freedom and look for that motivation. You look for that temporary high to get you motivated to go out there and hit a workout or do the things that you need to do. But over time, that consistency develops discipline. And like you mentioned earlier, and what people need to understand is when you do stuff every day, it becomes a habit. So then you don't need to keep harping on that aspect because now you know every day you get up, well, I'm going to run because it's a habit. Because through consistency, you develop discipline, which made habits form. And this is the biggest thing. So when you get those habits, it's time to move forward. And like you said, pick that next thing that you want to develop. And whether it be your education, whether it be job promotion, whatever it is, and then focus on that one and then build the habit out of that and keep moving forward. And eventually you're going to get to the place that you want to be.
Yeah, absolutely. The one of the quotes that I was well, I was reading a book. The book is Bounce Back, and the quote that I read out of that is, "You get dealt a hand of cards. It's just how you play them." And I feel like that really resonated with me because it really talks to everyday life. And when you're going through your life and you build this consistency, there's gonna be wrenches that are thrown at you. It's gonna happen. Things are gonna try to off track you. The universe is gonna send you things to off track you to see if you have the discipline and the consistency to keep rolling through it. So just be prepared for that, and always like have that accountability partner like we talked about last episode, or even reach out to us where, if you do feel like you're derailing, your consistency is falling down, just reach out so that way we can set you back on track and then you can keep crushing your goals.
Exactly, man. And part of that is another article I read recently, which kind of talks to me through that quote you were just talking about is there's basically 87% of executives, according to the Harvard Business Review, all feel like there's four behaviors are essential to being that C class leader in a company. And one of those is adapting proactively. And speaking of bounce back, and that's where this connection's made, is Travis Mills, the author of that book, is a quadriplegic. He was injured in his time in the military in the army. And this guy came back. He's now a business owner. He runs a foundation to help other veterans like himself. And for somebody to be in that situation where you're quadriplegic and you come back to a life and you actually build a great life and you come at it with this new mindset and you share your story in a book for people to read. It's just crazy to think that this guy bounced back from that experience to share his journey and help others because you could have taken any second during his recovery and he could have quit and he could have thrown in the towel. But the fact is, he didn't. He adapted and he got through every hardship to get to where he is today. And I think that's crazy, man. And that story, Bounce Back, it's a great book. I'm excited to finish it.
Yeah, and Brandon and I are reading that book together right now. So I challenge you to, if you're into reading, grab the book and read it. I'm about 2 to 3 chapters in right now, and it's got me hooked. I really enjoy the message that's coming from that. Let's get into a little bit of discipline. So, discipline is doing it when you don't want to. You're tired, you still do it. You had a bad day, you still do it. You didn't have you things happen throughout the day, you didn't get the time to do it, you still do it. Nothing is going to help you better than discipline. Now, they say motivation helps you, but motivation is temporary, right? Discipline is going to put you in that spot and you're going to have the self-discipline to keep going, whether that be fitness or not. If your discipline is nutrition, don't go grab that stack of Oreos. Grab the banana. If you want to do something better, do that thing better, and the discipline for yourself is going to hold you to that. And that also helps you with like your self-discipline, like the self-talk you have with yourself. You're not going to be lying to yourself. If you tell yourself that you're not going to eat Oreos anymore and you go eat an Oreo, you just lied to yourself. But if you stick with your discipline, it's just going to manifest into more and you're just going to keep stacking those wins like we've talked about before. And as you stack those wins, it's just going to get better. And discipline is going to get a little bit easier. But the thing about discipline also is it is a muscle, just like everything else. You're running to train your legs, you're lifting to train your arms. You need to do the same thing with your discipline. You can't give up on it. It's a day in and day out thing that you have to train.
Exactly, man. And the reason consistency and discipline's in the same episode is like we talked about earlier, the consistency builds the discipline. So that discipline is built through consistent action. And like you said, making the right food decision, making the decision to read a book instead of binge watching your favorite TV show, the decision to show up to work with a positive attitude and do a great job, even though you had a bad night. It's showing up every day consistently, developing the discipline to allow yourself to be better. And that discipline, like you said, it's a muscle. You have to continue working it because even though you develop this discipline for running every day, even though you develop the discipline for reading every day, you still have to work that muscle. You still have to show up for yourself every day. Now, those things are going to get easier, the things that you've already developed the discipline in. But now there's new things you need to look at. So you read every day, you run every day. Maybe your nutrition, like we talked about earlier, is your weak spot. So now you have these two things that you've already developed all this discipline with. So now you start focusing on nutrition. And then someone like yourself, which I respect this so much, you took it another step and you said, I'm struggling with my nutrition. Well, let me look at the process of actually making this food. Let me make this food myself. So now it gives you an appreciation for the nutrition you're putting in your body, which is a way that you can look at it, you can appreciate it. You had to put work into building this food that you're going to put into your body. So it makes you not want to eat an Oreo or, eat a pint of ice cream. You'd rather make something out of these ingredients and build a nutritious food for yourself and for your family and actually consume that. And I think that's a really smart way to attack the nutrition aspect if that's something you're struggling with. You don't have to make everything you eat, right? But start with something like bread or something like butter and just try it and make that food from scratch and see how it makes you feel and the appreciation you have for the nutrition at that point. It's going to change your outlook on it. And it's something I know you and I are both trying to use on this prep. So hopefully we can develop the discipline on our nutrition and then we'll be moving on to the next thing.
Yeah, the discipline with nutrition is definitely something that I really need to work with. And my like we've talked about, we already know my goal for this prep, but the discipline that I need to work through is my other parts of my life too. So I feel like with some of the differences between discipline and consistency is that consistency, I feel like you can just run, like I want to consistently run, but discipline is almost for every aspects of your life. Once you start, the other parts are going to fall in. It's just like we've talked about before is once you start becoming a like better person, other people around you are going to see it. Like attracts alike. It's the same thing with discipline that I feel like personally is once I start doing something and I'm noticing that I'm having the discipline to do this, other things just follow through in my own feelings and in my own self-talk. So that's one thing that I really like about discipline. How do you feel about that, Brandon?
No, I do like that. And I think that you're right. And something else I was reading prior to the podcast that I think would help with what you're talking about is breaking down that discipline. So you have to have discipline in all aspects of your life, like you said, but break it down into sections. So you have to be disciplined with nutrition. You have to be disciplined to spend an hour with your significant other or family every day. You have to be disciplined to get up at the right time. So break it down into these little categories and bite sized pieces where you can actually absorb the fact that it's this smaller thing. 'Cause I think so many people attack this consistency and discipline as a big picture. It's like the New Year's resolution. We're
Mhm.
2 weeks into the new year right now. How many people went into the new year and said, I'm going to get in shape this year? A ton. A
A
ton.
lot, probably half the world
Exact.
at
But
least.
but if those people would have approached it this way and looked at the new year as an opportunity to focus on that first task, which is I want to start running every day or working out every day. Well, then you tackle that, right? And it's attainable. It's small. It's something you can actually tackle in your day-to-day life. And it's something that you can plan for, which that's the other thing. So when you want to be disciplined in all these aspects of your life, you have to be able to plan for it. Because consistency, the other thing with consistency that I don't know if we touched on, I know I mentioned it as part of my plan, but part of consistency is having a schedule. You have to know what to expect every day in order to be consistent. It's kind of part of it. And that's why setting an alarm every day is so important. It doesn't matter what time that alarm is, your individual life responsibilities dictate that. But you have to know that at this time I'm waking up. So I have this amount of time to work out. I have this much time to make myself breakfast. I have this to prepare for the day. Whatever those steps are, you have to know what time you have available every single day to do the things you need to do. And that's what I'm talking about by breaking it down into bite-sized pieces. Something I always share with people that ask me basically advice is to break your day down into chunks. So you sleep for 8 hours, you have 16 hours left. You work for 8 hours, so you have 8 hours left. So you know you want to work out an hour a day. So there's 1 hour. So now you have 7 hours left. You need to spend an hour with your significant other, 6 hours. You need to read a book, half an hour. So now you have 5.5 hours left. But you get the point. You need to break your day down into bite sized pieces and focus on the highest priority tasks that need done every single day and then go from there. So you knock out those two, three critical tasks. And then you can maybe focus on some stuff that you doesn't necessarily need done right now, but you have time because you got your critical tasks done, and break your day down into all these little chunks, these minute pieces that are something you can actually look at and see how you need to accomplish it. So that way you can actually accomplish the things you say you're going to do. So that's my take on discipline. I think it's huge just to break your
That,
day down and make it more manageable.
that's really powerful. I like that, and we've talked about it before, and gonna keep talking about it. Where you just stack those small wins, and like Brandon's talking about, if you do separate your day, it's it's easy. You know what you have to do, and then if you further break it down, you know you're sleeping for 8 hours. You know you're working for 8 hours. So that gives you 8 hours. And a lot of people, like Brandon was talking about, like when you want to step into something new, it is a like if you look at the end, if you focus on the end goal, it's huge. But now if you like just kind of like that whole day thing, you take 24 hours, but you're taking 16 hours out of that because those are your prior obligations that you have that you need to meet anyway. So now you're taking a 24-hour day and you're breaking that down into 8. Then you're sub breaking that down into hourly blocks for whatever you are going to do. And I feel like one thing that helped me a little bit is if you do track the time in your day, you're going to really realize how much time that you have. And it might be even a little self embarrassing to be like, I felt like I didn't have time, but I spent this much time on TikTok or this much time, you know, playing with my thumbs. Like, it's really going to open your eyes. And that's another challenge I have for you guys. Break your day down to find out where the break is, where you can improve. And once you start that, you're going to find other areas where you can improve your day. So I really like that. That was super powerful, and I enjoy that.
Yeah, no, man, and you hit it right on the head. And let's use the stuff at our the challenge you just discussed. Let's use the stuff at our disposal to help track that and to find those weak spots because nowadays your phone has like a screen time thing. So look what you're
Mhm.
spending your time on. Look how many if you're spending 4 hours a day on your phone and then you say I don't have time to work out. Well, you're just making the choice not to work out because you spent 4 hours on your phone. Come on, man. I mean, it's being realistic with yourself, and like you said, it might be a little bit embarrassing to realize how much time you really have, but I think something we need to share with this, because I don't want it to sound so robotic, like, well, really, you want me to break my day down every single day into like 1 hour blocks? Like, I'm not like a robot. I'm kind of more of a go with the flow kind of person. But what you need to understand is when you break your day down like that, you're actually giving yourself more freedom because you know you've already put a block of time in there for yourself, like an hour, whatever it is, 2 hours, maybe it's 3 hours, maybe, who knows, but that's your time, like, with no repercussions. There's nothing else that needs done. You've accomplished everything else because it's already on the books, or something you know you're doing later. So now you have 2 hours a day that are entirely yours, where before you might go to bed and like regret the fact that you didn't get something done that you needed to get done, but now you actually know that you accomplished everything that you set out to do on that day but you also had a couple hours to yourself that were completely yours to do whatever you wanted with. And that's the aspect of this planning. And I don't want people to see this fitness and discipline as something that's, because when you hear the word discipline, I think it can sound off-putting to some people, but it's not like that. It's actually a positive thing. It actually gives you more freedom through the discipline. And like we talked about, man, it's something that's worked for us. It's something that we continue to implement every day, and we're going to continue to use it through our marathon prep. And it's going to keep us getting better every day to get into our goals.
Absolutely. And so I want you guys to follow us on all of our socials: Instagram, TikTok, Facebook. You can follow our podcast on Spotify, Apple Pod, and YouTube, also Buzzsprout. But take the time to go follow us on our journey for this marathon prep on Instagram. We're going to be posting on there primarily. There's also some other big things coming in the works that will be out in the next couple weeks to a month. So stay tuned and watch for that. I appreciate you guys tuning in, and I can't wait to talk to you again.